Hey guys, welcome to the daily analysis for February 6th. It is about 4 p.m. here, Eastern Standard Time, New York time that is. And so the daily bars are getting pretty close to closing, and I want to cover some of the major moves in today's market. Several of the major pairs today did not really make a lot of direction. You can see the pound very small movement overall, kind of closing within a few pips of where it entered the market or opened at the market today. So really on some of the pairs there's not a lot to talk about. However, I do want to cover a few other pairs where I think there's some great opportunities and definitely some things to look out for in the future, and that's really what I'm going to focus on in today's analysis. Alright guys, before we jump into that, let's just grab our news for tomorrow and see what we have going on that side of things. Alright, so you can see basically there's a ton of news tomorrow based on all this, the red tag stuff we can see here. Euro and pound really have a ton of events, and that is then compounded with unemployment claims for the US dollar and even some yen news here. So tomorrow could be an interesting day with all of these things hitting home, and it's going to be really interesting in my opinion to see how everything shapes up, because a lot of these pairs we're waiting to see whether they're going to be strong or weak or neutral or whatever's going to happen, whether they're going to break certain levels. A lot of different pairs at really pivotal points, and so with all this news coming out, we could definitely see some things pick up and really commit to one direction longer term. The ECB press conference, which Tony wrote an article about earlier, is one announcement that could really set the stage whether this euro is really going to continue to be such a strong currency across the board, or if they're going to get some news that brings them down to earth. So a lot of stuff going on. Definitely would pay attention to the news tomorrow as you trade, because a lot of announcements and certainly could have a major effect on the market. Alright guys, and just to quickly cover our terms here, basically the main idea is just that we're not licensed by any authoritative security or authority to give you investment advice, so please don't take what we're saying as investment advice. We're not telling you what to do with your money. We're just sharing our personal views of the market, and so it's really important to understand that based on the regulations that the government has in place for us. We really want to be clear on that aspect. Okay, let's go ahead and move back into our charts. Alright guys, I want to start off with this pound dollar. Again, we didn't make a lot of movement here, but just to reiterate what I was talking about yesterday, this level all the way down here is the major level that I'm looking at on the pound dollar. Of course, there's a lot of potential here that the pound dollar is going to bounce around, retest some of these levels, but as far as the sideways market we have here, this level, this top level, and this bottom level down here are really the three major levels that I'm looking at. And so because prices move with so much momentum down here and through this level, I now think this is a reasonable level to expect price to work its way toward over the next few weeks, and maybe could take a few months, but here you can see how quickly it crashed all the way back down. So if something similar to that would happen, it'd be a much more profitable endeavor over a much shorter period of time, but you can't really expect that. So anyway, looking for price to work its way down here. Just a little bit of a stall bar today, so we'll see if that pound weakness picks back up tomorrow. Again, there's a lot of that news that we mentioned that could definitely affect it. So I'm just holding at this point. We have this little base here. I'm short, and my stop loss is still up here, but this would be an area where I would think to lock in my stop loss in case I was worried about bouncing it, and to see if it would retest or break back through. That's definitely an area where you'd want to look at to see if price is breaking right back up through 157, or maybe just using 157 as an area to bounce and then go lower. So again, a lot of momentum there from pound over the past few weeks, but right now a little bit of stalling action. Let's see if we can pick back up and get lower over the last 2 days of this week. Alright guys, this euro, similar situation. We're still kind of channeling here and have not broken either way at this point, so another one where you're just kind of waiting. I like the fact that it's coming down for a retest here instead of just bursting back down through. That means that to me there's more potential of it going back up. We had this inside bar, and if it was a fake, typically you'd expect price to fake up and then break much more strongly back down through, but since it was a medium-sized bar that came right back and sat on this level, to me that means that the euro has more potential of going upward off this level, and so that's something I'll be keeping an eye on with the euro dollar. At this point, I don't think it's ready to trade yet, but a break back up, maybe through the high here, could be a definite reason to jump back on long. So definitely something worth looking at the euro dollar. All right, pretty similar example here with the euro pound. You know, we broke much higher all the way up to 87, had three massive bars back and forth, and now just a small inside bar to the bearish direction because of some of that euro weakness that kicked in today. So not a lot to be made of here yet. The euro pound is so high that you think that a reversal is definitely possible, but at the same time, this euro strength, again, like I just mentioned, could pick up at any time. So just a centering and a move higher is also equally likely, in my opinion. So with that said, not really a major opinion on euro pound until something develops. And you know, with that news tomorrow, that could definitely clarify some things. So when we revisit these charts tomorrow, when when those bars are close to being closed, excuse me, we could really get a much better idea of opinion and sentiment on some of these pairs. And so that's really probably the best way to move forward in terms of potential trade setups on the euro and the pound pairs especially. USDCAD was a situation where it bounced close back to parity, right towards the top of this little mini base that we have here, and then pushed right back down again near the open of the day, where it didn't really make up hardly any ground. So just another one of those little mini channels that USDCAD tends to find itself in, and what I'm basically waiting here for is just to push lower to see if it can break. Again, I'm short on USDCAD and short on pound dollar, so a little bit of that half hedge situation, and just waiting to see if we can get price to push a little bit lower and come back closer to these lows, rather than just hanging up in these channels around 1 and even 101 if it gets back up to here. So these are the prices obviously that I'm trying to avoid that direction, and these are the prices that I'm hoping that that we work toward. And just a matter of waiting for the USD-CAD. Sometimes things take quite a bit of time to develop, but because I'm in that situation where I'm long and short on dollar, I'm willing to be patient here and wait for these to develop. Alright, US yen, again, just another pair that did not make a lot of ground today. Very small movement, but just kind of hanging right up around 93.5. A very small stall bar. I don't think it really means anything in terms of trading or trade setups. So until we get a more significant pullback, it's difficult to suggest a trade on USD yen. One thing we could look out for is if price comes in this range, or if you draw the line this way, in this range. So if we're pretty far away from that, but if it comes down into that range, there's buying area. It's an area where you could think about a move to the previous high or to the next high. But at this point, it's just kind of hanging nowhere at 93.5. It's a little bit difficult to anticipate a trade setup. So yet another pair where we're waiting for some kind of significant pullback and then seeing what price action tells us from there. Okay, and lastly, just wanted to mention the odd dollar. You can see that the odd is working downward. Pretty strong bar today. Did not help my odd yen, certainly, although the odd yen did not fall as much as the odd dollar. But anyway, here was a little bit of a support level, especially when it was compacted with the 50 fib of this recent swing. So we broke through that, got to the next level, 61.8 fib right here, and now it's at an area where it could break and maybe head to our next major level below 102 here. So that's something definitely to keep an eye out for on the odd dollar. If momentum continues there, that's certainly something that could be a potential trade, as this is definitely a magnet for price. You can see the times that's been tested before. So an area that we definitely want to look at if momentum continues and heads that way. Oh, I do actually want to check out that pound New Zealand again, just to give you a heads up on that. Okay, so the pound New Zealand, pretty much a stall today. Again, not making a lot of ground. We're still sitting right on top of this little base here. And so just to clarify again, what I'm going for here is looking for a short opportunity if price were to pass through 185 and continue down with some impulsive movement, some momentum movement. If it breaks this area in a slow kind of floating manner or just barely making any ground one day at a time, I'm not going to be interested in the trade. But if we get some very strong, consistent movement that leads me to believe that we're ready to move toward our next leg of bearishness, then I definitely want to look for the opportunity to jump on short. So a little tiny mini upward base you can see here, and have not made the ground yet, but I'm waiting for that break, see if we get any movement there, and again, I will alert you when that happens. For those of you that follow me on Twitter, I'll let you know on Twitter as soon as I'm taking the trade, and for those of you who follow me on the analysis, I'll just let you know the next day or whatever that I was in the trade or that I'm in the trade, and let you know what's going on there. Alright guys, so that is it for the daily analysis. Thank you so much for watching, and if you don't mind, take the time to tweet it and share it on Facebook, and I greatly appreciate that. Leave any comments or thoughts in the section below, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.